not a scandal invented by a tabloid editor with a deadline to hit. Not some blurry paparazzi photo turned into a headline. 3 words, spoken by one brother about another brother's wife. Right before that same brother ended up on the floor of a cottage with a shattered dog bowl cutting into his back. If you think you already know the full story of what happened between Prince William and Prince Harry that night in Nottingham Cottage, you don't. Because for years, the world only ever heard about the punch, the physical part, the headline-friendly part. Nobody talked about what came right before it, the actual words William used, the moment that turned a private disagreement into something that left one of them bleeding. And once you hear it, you'll understand exactly why Harry has never really let this go. This is the story that keeps refusing to die. It resurfaced again just weeks ago, dragged back into headlines by royal insiders who apparently can't stop talking about it, because deep down, everyone in that world knows this was never really about a fight between 2 brothers. It was about what a future king privately thinks of his own family, when he believes nobody outside that room is ever going to hear it. So today, we're breaking this whole thing down. What Prince William actually said about Meghan Markle. Why 3 simple words were enough to end a physical altercation between 2 brothers who used to be inseparable. And why, years later, this is still the wound that refuses to close, no matter how many photo ops and royal appearances try to paper over it. Let's start with the words themselves, because they matter more than people give them credit for. According to Prince Harry's own memoir, Spare, this happened back in 2019, inside Nottingham Cottage on the grounds of Kensington Palace. The 2 brothers, once about as close as royal siblings ever get, were alone. No cameras, no staff, no one to perform for. And in that moment, with no audience watching, William reportedly used 3 words to describe Meghan. Difficult, rude, abrasive. 3 words. That's the ammunition that turned a disagreement between brothers into a physical fight that ended with one of them on the ground. Now really sit with what that means for a second. This isn't some anonymous tabloid source inventing gossip about 2 people they've never met. This is one of the princes himself, in his own published fact-checked memoir, telling the entire world what his own brother privately thought about the woman he chose to marry. You don't put something like that into a book that millions of people are going to read unless it still genuinely hurts you. Unless it's the kind of thing that sits in the back of your mind for years, replaying on a loop. Harry describes exactly what happened next in brutal, almost uncomfortable detail. It all happened so fast, he wrote. So very fast. According to his own account, William grabbed him by the collar, tearing off his necklace in the process before shoving him hard enough to knock him to the ground. Harry says he landed directly on the dog's food bowl, the pieces cracking underneath his back and cutting into his skin as he lay there, dazed, trying to process what had just happened. Read that again, slowly. 2 brothers, future king and duke. The 2 boys who once stood side by side at their own mother's funeral, holding an entire grieving country together with nothing but their composure in front of the cameras, ended up on a kitchen floor because of 3 words about Meghan Markle. But here's the part almost nobody actually talks about. And honestly, it might be the most damning detail in the entire story. According to Harry, William actually wanted him to hit back. Told him to. Practically dared him to escalate it further. And Harry, by his own account, refused. Just sit with that for a second, because it changes the entire shape of this story. In the middle of an already violent moment, the person who allegedly started it wasn't trying to de-escalate. He was pushing for something bigger. If that account is accurate, this wasn't a single outburst that got out of hand. This was William actively wanting a real confrontation. And Harry's decision not to swing back may genuinely be the only reason this whole thing is remembered today as a shove, and not something significantly worse that would have followed both of them for the rest of their lives. This is where the story gets sad, honestly, more sad than salacious, because Harry has said publicly over and over across multiple interviews that he still loves his brother. In the Oprah sit-down, he called it space between them. Careful, almost diplomatic language. To Tom Bradby, he said they were simply on different paths, the kind of phrase you use when you're trying not to burn a bridge completely. But by the time Spare actually came out, the language had shifted into something much colder. Harry called William his arch nemesis. That's not the language of a man who simply drifted apart from a sibling over time the way most adult brothers naturally do. That's the language of somebody who watched something break in a single moment and never got the apology that might have started to fix it. And according to royal author Russell Myers, speaking on a recent episode of Hello as a Right Royal podcast, the relationship between the two brothers right now, this year, couldn't be worse. His exact words were blunt. It's done. 3 words back in 2019. A physical fight that followed almost immediately. And now, years later, still no bridge built back between them, no matter how many royal watchers keep predicting a reconciliation that never actually arrives. Here's what makes this whole story hit differently than the usual royal gossip cycle. William isn't some random extended relative venting at a family dinner where nobody outside the house will ever hear about it. He is, quite literally, the future King of England. Every single word he says about anyone, especially about Meghan, carries the weight of an entire institution behind it, whether he personally wants it to or not. When he reportedly called her difficult, rude, and abrasive, he wasn't just privately describing his brother's new wife in a moment of frustration. He was, in Harry's eyes at least, choosing a side. Choosing the comfort of the institution and its expectations over his own brother's happiness and his own brother's marriage. And Meghan's reaction, according to Harry's account, she wasn't that surprised and wasn't all that angry. She was terribly sad. Not furious, not vengeful, just sad. Like she already suspected, deep down, what William privately thought of her, and hearing it confirmed out loud only made the isolation of marrying into that family feel a little more real, a little more permanent. So here's where all of this actually lands. A future king. 3 brutal private words. A fight that left his own brother bleeding on a kitchen floor. And a rift that, by every recent account this year, still hasn't come close to closing, no matter how much time has passed. Was William right to say what he said, even if he genuinely believed he was just being honest and protective? Or did he cross a line in that moment that he can never fully take back, no matter how many years go by? I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop it in the comments and tell me who you believe actually owes who. An apology here. And if you want more of the real story behind the royal family's messiest, least talked about moments, the ones that never make it into the official statements, make sure you're subscribed, because this particular story is far from over.